The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Good evening and welcome to The Divine Truth on Revolution Radio. We should have our co-host on. Sarah, are you there?
I am here. Hello. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. And Nyssa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
We're just waiting for our guest to come online. Mr. Jordan Maxwell will be with us this evening. But he's not online on Skype at the moment. So, Sarah, do you want to just give us a quick update on what you're up to at the moment?
Yes, my darlings. Hey, I just wanted to say that I'm happy to be here today and not miss out on this show because I know myself, I sometimes get so busy doing things that I have to run out of shows. You know, Taj, I've done it before.
Yeah, I know. You don't need to remind me.
Yes, and I know. So he may have got busy like that. I know we all do, and sometimes we got important things that come up. We can't even plan it out. So I'm sure that's what happened to him.
I'm sure he'll be online soon. So he was online about half an hour ago, then he just went offline. So I've emailed him, but I'm sure he'll be on soon.
Well, he did promise to come on another 2 hours after too. So yes, he's definitely going to be on our show at one point or another. If he can make it today, that will be awesome. If not, he said he will be on next time.
Yeah, he did say he's got a few shows on today. So I'm not sure if he's doing another show right now or if he's double booked us. I don't know, but we'll wait for him to come online. So what are you up to? I know you're planning a few trips to New York. What are they about?
I'm planning a few trips to New York to do some live TV down there to help set up a conference where I'll be speaking. It's really all in the working right now, and do some sessions. I'm putting together a sort of what I call multi-dimensional awakening, and it's really amazing because I have a friend here and she's spiritual, but at the same time she's she's got all the charts that show it on a scientific level. So I'm planning to do a lecture with her where we I explain it spiritually and she can show the charts and explain it scientifically. So that's some of the things I'm working on. And then I have where I'll be speaking here in Dallas before I go to New York, just about all these different things about energy, about DNA, how people on Earth are used as energy plants. They're grown and their energy is used, how lighting up your DNA makes you multidimensional, how the whole Earth is quarantined until humanity does awaken their DNA, then they will be allowed out, how the moon definitely sends souls back. And this was sort of a, what do you call it? A prison, a bit of a, what I would let's see, how can I use the word, a space prison, a planet prison, until everybody was quarantined, everything was quarantined in here until they did become awakened and understand and understand not to war and understand to get along until they went to higher consciousness. So I will definitely be speaking about a lot of things like that.
Awesome. Do you feel that it's like a rehab, bit like a rehab center that everyone here just needs, it's a healing. The frequency of this planet is very healing, isn't it? So
it is like a rehab center, and the thing is that I think there's a whole group that just decided to not rehab and stay down here and continuously do a lot of stupid stuff, and harm themselves.
Yeah.
From what I know, I will say this is that you're supposed to you go to each planet and each realm to go through different tests and to evolve your soul, and then souls are supposed to move on from this planet to another one and so on, or to other realms, but everything is just kind of staying here for now, and they're quarantined until they learn that, to get along, to evolve higher. And the moon has a great deal to do with that. It sends the
Sarah,
souls back so they can't pass out until they are evolved. Go ahead.
Sarah, Jordan's come online now, so I'm just going to add him to the call, okay?
Oh, awesome.
Hello.
Hi, Jordan,
Hello.
are you there?
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi there.
We've got my co-host Sarah on. Sarah, are you
Okay.
there? Do you want to say hello to
Hi,
Jordan?
Jordan.
Hi
Hi.
there, dear. Hi.
And my other
Where are you
co-host.
good.
guys?
We weren't sure
Where
you
are
were
you?
coming.
So happy to have you on.
We weren't sure you were coming online, so I brought Nyssa on as well. Nissa's my other co-host.
Hi, that's me. It's an honor, absolute honor. You're absolute legend, Jordan.
Oh, nice to talk to you. Where are you guys at? What country? What city? Where are you?
England. I'm in England anyway.
Oh, you're in England?
Yeah,
I am,
myself and Nyssa are in England, and Sarah is in Dallas.
Oh,
I'm in
okay.
Dallas. I've just returned from England.
Okay. And can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank God, because I was having trouble all morning with my computer, but I finally got it fixed just a couple of minutes before you called.
All right, that's good.
So
Um,
that's anyway, it's fixed. That's the main thing.
so what are you up to, Jordan? Do you want to talk about anything you're working on at the moment before we go on to any questions?
Yeah, I would probably talk about my latest video and what it's about and why I did it, that kind of thing, if you want to.
Yeah, you want to discuss that? What's the video about?
It's called the video is called Cosmocrat. Cosmocrat. Cosmo means world and crap means ruler, so it's about world rulers. Cosmocrats.
Okay.
And I've been working on it for 25 years. I finally got it done. So, we could talk about that and anything else you want to. I don't care. I'll let
Let's
you.
go ahead and start on that.
Say it again?
Let's go ahead and start on that.
Okay, so what do you want to talk
good.
about? What do you want to talk about world leaders?
I'll just talk about the video. I'll talk about the video and all the stuff that's in it, and where I got it, and what it means, and all that kind of thing. I could talk for hours.
I know.
Yeah. How long is the interview?
Well, it's 2 hours, but I know you got other shows to do today. I don't know if you can stay for the full 2 hours, but if you want to stay just for an hour, that's up to you.
Okay, I think I'll take it just for an hour, and also you will have to speak up because I can barely hear you.
All right, okay. I've got my
That's
mic plugged
better.
in. I've got my mic plugged in. I'll move closer to the mic for you. Is that better?
Yeah, that would be better, so I can hear you.
Okay.
Anyway.
Tosh has such a soothing voice. I understand.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm ready to go when you are. So.
Okay. If you want to talk a little bit about
your. Do you want video at the Skype or just?
No, audio's fine. It's a radio show, so we don't do the video on the radio show.
Okay.
But if you want to talk about this video you're doing, and I mean, you say you've spent 25 years working on this, on world leaders. What does it cover as far as world leaders concerned? I mean, I know most world leaders are controlled to quite a heavy extent. Is that what the basis of the video is about?
Yeah, basically it's about that. It's really more about the hidden world of power, how things really work. The reason why people around the world are angry and frustrated and are in the streets rioting is because they're frustrated and angry at the system that doesn't serve their purposes. It doesn't serve the people. It serves the people with money with power. It doesn't serve the people on the street. And so the people on the street are angry and frustrated, and that's what they are out demonstrating. And so I realized a long time ago that the system we live under does not serve the individual, does not serve the normal person. It only serves the powers. And so I began looking into the whole entire system, how the world really works. And I started doing that back in 1960, 61. My God, I don't even know how far back that is. It must be 60 years now.
Yeah.
And so I began looking into and tracing the money. You have to trace the money and trace the names. You find out certain people who are head of a major studio, then check that name and find out what banking family they belong to, or what underworld family, what mafia family do they belong to. What's their bloodline? Where did they come from? What's their family background? And then you find that family background. Then you begin to look into the family background connected to international banks and organized crime, etc. And before you know it, you begin to find out a lot about the world of television and radio and movies and motion pictures and entertainment, and who controls it and where the money comes from and who the families are that own the studios and what the name of the studios are. And it just opens up a whole new world of information and knowledge about who actually runs the world you live in. And so it didn't take me very long to figure out that there's a whole subject here that's never been looked at. And it's an extraordinary story of lies and deception and power plays behind the scenes. And people you think are really nice people aren't. And people you think are really honest aren't. And then you find out that when people you think are enemies are not enemies, they're all working for the same company. And so, over a period of 60 years, I have looked at corporations, companies, you also researched the background of entertainment business, news, television, radio, especially the big television companies, the motion picture companies in Hollywood, who owns them, where the money comes from, who started the different studios, who started these different television stations. As a matter of fact, I got back to, I even did a lot of research on where television actually came from. Who actually came up with the idea of television? Where did that come from? And what was the idea that the people working on television to design a system called television, what were they trying to do? Was it what we think it is? They were trying to provide entertainment for people, things to watch and things to listen to, entertainment. No, it was not at all. It was developed in Germany under Adolf Hitler. It was a Nazi movement, and the whole idea was to be able to electrically connect to all humans on the earth through radio, through television, through entertainment. And this way, the Führer, the Nazi dictator, could talk to the whole country at one time. He could sit in front of a TV set and talk to all the German people and ultimately around the world, to all people.
Yeah, just another propaganda machine, wasn't it, really?
And so that's, I've just been looking at banks, especially banks and government. My real love that I've always been interested in and been doing a lot of reading and studying on for many, many years is religion. I'm fascinated with religion, where religions have come from, where the belief systems have come from, what the words and the terms and the symbols in churches and mosques and synagogues, where these ideas have come from, where did they start, what do they mean? And I've had many dear friends in high places who are great teachers and great philosophers that I have learned from. Manly Palmer Hall was one of my teachers. And so when you get into religion, that gets into entertainment and the motion pictures. And so you can tie in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity into Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade,
Yeah.
All kinds of motion pictures and entertainment coming out, like
Yeah, most
uh,
movies are encoded, aren't they? But they have
all of
hidden messages and
they're
meanings.
all encoded, absolutely, no doubt about it. And once you understand what the code is, you can begin to see it
Right.
in all the movies. You begin to see the same words, the same terms, the same ideas expressed, and then you see what company or what studio published that movie, who were the producers, who were the directors. The actors don't matter, but who are the writers, who wrote the script.
This is actually quite an interesting area. I've always wanted to know what are they trying to program us through movies? Is there a specific agenda, like they're trying to
Well,
control us?
the basic the foundation and the basic idea for motion pictures and telephones and telegraph and instant communication is to be able to collect the human family together, to
Right.
connect everybody on the earth at one time, so that everyone can hear you, everyone on the earth can hear you, everyone on the earth can see you. And so it's basically to communicate your ideas to the whole world instantly. Because the way it was done hundreds of years ago, great philosophers and writers and teachers like Plato would write, and he would have students who would study under him, but there was always just a few, maybe 10, 15 students, and then those students would go out and become great teachers, and then they would have 10 or 12 or 15 students, and then those students would go out and teach others, and eventually it would become a major philosophy, a major idea. If enough people are out there teaching other people, it could become very important and a very
Right.
big idea. Well, today you don't need that. All you need to do is go on NBC, and 35 million people are hearing you instantly.
Yeah.
And then if you put music to it and put pretty girls there and music and everything else, and introduce sex and other things that will catch men's eyes, then you can put across any kind of ideas and belief systems, and people will buy into it. People will believe you. And
That's
it's
true.
got
Yeah.
to the point now. Now it's finally arrived at the point that if it's anything of any importance, it will be on television. But those people who are in the entertainment industry, like myself, and know the background, if it's on television, it's most likely a lie or deception or entertainment. There's nothing
Right.
to it. No value in it whatsoever.
Yeah. There's a lot of
What
stuff
about the
going.
hidden code and stuff? Like, I just noticed that the series Outlander, which is about time travel, is about Mary Magdalene and Jesus Christ. And they even did their promo is The Last Supper, which was quite interesting. So they do seem to use that one a lot. So there's hidden codes with that one. So what do you think about the whole hidden meanings that they're putting in stuff?
Well, when you talk about Mary Magdalene, the original story, what was his name? Brown came out with that book
Dan Brown.
called Illuminati, or what was his name? His last name was Brown, I
Brown.
think.
Yeah. Dan Brown.
Dan.
Yeah. Well, Dan Brown is a plagiarist. I have no respect for him whatsoever, period. As a matter of fact, I have no respect for anyone who steals other people's work and makes it look like it's their own. Dan Brown did nothing. Dan Brown merely stole a story from three men in England. That whole thing about the Illuminati and the movies that Dan Brown and the books he supposedly wrote, he didn't write anything. I think Dan Brown is just a plagiarist who was picked to write a story based on some work of other people. Now, if you want to get the real story of what Dan Brown was talking about in his book that he plagiarized, go to the original book. The original one was called Holy Blood, Holy Grail. It was
I
written
have
by
that one.
it was written by three British BBC producers in England. And the names was Mike, Bagent, Lee, and Lincoln. Bagent, Lee, and Lincoln were three producers at the BBC, and they did a show, a television show, very similar to 60 Minutes in America, where for 1 hour they would delve into one subject only and go through that subject completely. And they decided to do a program on the Knights Templars and the Mary Magdalene stories and the Holy Grail and Indiana Jones and all of that. And so they wrote, they did an incredibly brilliant book, nonfiction. They did an absolutely astoundingly brilliant book called Holy Blood, Holy Grail by three British authors, and then they did a television show on it, on their book, and that became such a big sensation, talking about Jesus and how Jesus may have had children from one of the Marys in the Bible, and his children grew up to be French kings in France. And the British monarchy was somehow connected to Jesus, and Jesus
I know about
supposedly. Say it
I know
again.
about
Yeah,
this because I know about this because I'm French bloodline, so I'm very aware of this.
yeah. So that was Bagent, Lee, and Lincoln. And every time I hear of Dan Brown, it just bothers me because Dan Brown took that story from three British authors who were extraordinarily brilliant authors who explained that whole story. And they ended up writing about 7 or 8 books on that subject, not just one. Holy Blood, Holy Grail was the first one. But then they went on to write other books about the subject until finally, I think they've got about 8 different books out there now, continuing the story of Jesus, his holy bloodline, the wars between England and France and Germany, and the different holy bloodlines. And then, of course, then comes Indiana Jones with the Last Crusade and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is based on all of that story by Bagent, Lee, and Lincoln. So even Indiana Jones's movies are based on the same idea, the same storyline. So it's an interesting
I think that happens.
story.
I think that happens quite a lot in Hollywood. There's a lot of plagiarism.
Yeah, it sure does.
So they don't have to pay these writers, when they make a movie out of it, and the writers get completely,
Oh, without a doubt,
screwed
without a
over.
doubt. As a matter of fact, I used to, back in the late 60s, early 70s, I used to go around to the studios in Hollywood, and I would bring a slide projector with slides, and we'd set up a screen on sound stages, and after hours, late in the evening, they would leave a pass for me to get in, and I would go to the different motion picture studios late in the evening, and just the people who worked there, none of the important people, but just the lighting people and the wiring people and the camera people, just the people who work for a living, and they would have me come and do a lecture. And I started doing lectures in studios back in the 70s. And by the mid 70s, I was doing quite a few of them, where I would talk about. I'd go to the different studios, and there'd be a lot of people there. They'd order pizza, and we'd sit there and talk all night. And I would show slides and explain to them the Knights Templars, who Jesus was, the story of the Bible, where it came from, the Knights Templars, the international banking cartels. And then in 1966, late 66, early 67, I started talking about the Illuminati. That's when Myron Fagan came out and Anthony Hilda produced, my friend Anthony Hilda produced a series of records, a lecture on records called the Illuminati. And the man talking was an old man named Myron Fagan. And Myron Fagan today is still out on the web. You can go on the web to YouTube and type in Illuminati Myron Fagan, Fagan, I think it is, Myron Fagan. And it's about a 3-hour lecture talking about who owns the earth, who runs the world we live in. And it was done back in 1966. And today, when you hear Myron Fagan on the YouTube, and the name of the lecture is Illuminati, when you hear him today, it will shock you how absolutely accurate he is on everything that's happening today. This was back in 1966, over 50 years ago. Myron Fagan did a 3-hour lecture, and it was recorded and put out in the public on records. That's before they had tapes, so it was on record. And but that was 60 years, 50 years ago, easy.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. I've seen that video. I've seen that.
Yeah,
video.
and it's just magnificent. The information that the old man talked about, how the governments are really run, who really owns the banks, who prints the money, how the governments operate, the religions. It's just an extraordinarily brilliant story. And I heard that back in 1966. Well, I was already giving lectures since 1960 on secret societies and world religions. But when I heard that in 66, it opened up a whole new world of knowledge, because at that point I brought into my lectures about religion and government, I could then bring in with that knowledge all the information about the secret societies of the Illuminati. And so I was going around the country and the U.S. talking about Illuminati and showing the connections between Illuminati, secret societies, Hollywood, motion pictures, the Vatican, Catholic Church, the priesthoods, international banking, the Federal Reserve, the whole entire world of lies and deception.
Is this all linked to Bohemian Grove? Is that basically where the Illuminati meet up every year?
Say that again, I can't hear you.
Bohemian Grove, is that where they all meet up and they have the was it the beta? I can't remember the meetings they have every year.
Yeah, like I said, I was going around town and around the country, actually, talking about these subjects, and I got a lot of invitations to speak all around the country. I never made any real money doing it, but I love doing it. I love talking to audiences. I love educating people. It's something I enjoy doing. And so I've been doing it for years. Well, the other point I wanted to make is that I was talking about this stuff 60 years ago, before most of my audience was even born. Mm-hmm. And so by now, today, believe me, I've got a lot more information than I did back then. And the story is so much bigger. The story is so much bigger than what people know.
Do you know what really happens at the Bilderberg meetings? I mean, what do they discuss there? And is that basically the Illuminati making their plans?
I would say probably Bilderbergers. Is that what you were talking about, Bilderbergers?
Yeah, Bilderberg, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that they are not the ultimate power, no. Right. But they are the hand, one of the hands, one of the utensils. I mean, if you eat with forks and knives and spoons, chopsticks and whatever, so there's all kinds of utensils to eat with. Well, the same thing with the Illuminati. They've got the Bilderbergers, the New World Order. They got all kinds of operations and people they work with and organizations they use. But the real Illuminati, you will never, ever see them. You will never know their names. You will never hear from them. You will never hear or see them ever. There will never be a time when you will see one of the Illuminati in the press or on television. And so when you hear people, which I do around here in the U.S., I hear it all the time, people saying, well, I was a member of the Illuminati, and then they go on to tell you about their experience.
Yeah.
I know that that's ludicrous.
Mm.
It's stupid on the face of it. Anybody who would be a member of a most powerful secret society in the world is not going to come out in public and tell everybody, that's me, I'm a member of the secret society, and I run the world. Nobody's going to do that. And the people who actually do run the world, they're above doing that. They're not going to be stupid enough to step out and draw attention to themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
John Gotti got the mafia in trouble for doing the same thing. The real organizations of organized crime do not like for you to go out there and be in the public eye and draw attention to them.
Mm.
If you're going to be a secret society, you keep it secret.
I guess
And like
it's another diversion tactic, isn't it? Really, to make people think the Illuminati is something which it really isn't, because they obviously don't want you to know what they really are.
That's precisely what I'm saying. The people who are
All the
talking
guys
about
that
how they are Illuminati, I have very big misgivings about that. I don't think so. I think if you're real Illuminati, there's no need for you to talk. There's no need for you to do anything. You just sit back and make all the decisions. Let everybody else act like they're important and do the talking.
So
And
is something
ultimately,
like
the money is the power.
is something like the Vatican just another arm of the
That's
Illuminati?
I think the Vatican is simply an arm, but it is probably a really strong arm because it's been around for 1,600 years.
Mm.
So I think the Vatican probably is one of the main portals of the power in this world. The Vatican most likely is one of the main centers for occult or hidden power on the earth because it's been around for 1,600 years. It's gone through, 1,600 years of governments and wars and all kinds of history has gone on, but the Vatican's still here. And we even have an old saying in the States: all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's true. I don't care what road you take. If you're taking the Nazi road or the communist road, or the fascist road, or the mafia road, or organized crime road, or international drug rings road, international banking road, it doesn't matter. All roads lead to Rome. Why? Because for 1,600 years, Rome has dominated Europe, and Europe has dominated the world.
Mm.
And even before that 1,600 years, the Roman Empire dominated Europe, and Europe dominated the world. Now, something you have to remember, Europe has dominated the whole earth. All over the world, European countries have bits and pieces of the earth. They have dominated the earth for thousands of years. Well, who has dominated Europe if it isn't Rome?
Mm.
And even when the Roman Empire fell in the 5th century AD, even when it fell, it didn't go away completely.
Yeah, you've talked about Roman law, the Romans and Roman law a lot, haven't you?
Right. And so the superstructure of the government of the ancient Roman Empire, today we call it the Vatican.
Mm.
The Vatican is actually the old ancient Roman Empire. And of course, America is one of the most important, I would say, tools that the Vatican uses in its world domination. The U.S. is a tool in the hands of the Vatican. And the real power in America is not Jewish at all. The real power in America is Vatican, the Jesuit.
Thank you for saying
priesthood. Say it again?
I said thank you for saying that. That's really on point.
Yeah, the real power. I mean, when I hear people talk about the Jewish this and the Jewish that, first of all, I know hundreds and hundreds of Jewish people in Los Angeles that are my dear friends that I've known for many, many years, and they've always been loyal friends, dear, and always there as a friend. And all of them, being Jewish, are like me. They just worked for a living, trying to pay the bills and raise a family and live their lives. I don't see them out trying to overthrow the world and to dominate the world. They're like me. They just live from day to day like anybody else. But I do know about the Vatican, and I do know about the Jesuits. And that's why I have this video I have produced. I started on it back in 1967. I came upon some information about the Jesuits and about the Catholic Church that nobody, virtually nobody in America had ever heard. And I began doing research on this whole subject of who really actually owns the earth. Who is the ultimate power on the earth? And it didn't take me very long to figure out it's not Jewish. There are, of course, Jews that are involved in organized crime. There are Italians involved in organized crime. There are blacks involved. There are Scandinavians involved. There's all, but just because somebody's involved doesn't mean the whole country is involved. And so,
how does the Middle East fit into all of this? Because there seems to always be conflict in the Middle East, and it almost seems like the Illuminati or the elites wants conflict in the Middle East all of the time.
Right. The elite want conflict in the Middle East for a very, very simple reason. Let me give you an example. If I, as a white man, so-called white man, as a white man, are in Europe, I am in Africa, and if I get thrown into prison in some African country, where 99% of all the inmates are all black except me, the smart thing to do is for me to cause trouble among the black population in the prison. Start spreading rumors about each one of them. Start spreading rumors that this guy said this about you, this guy said that about your mother, this guy over here said this about your family. And before you know it, I've got everybody fighting each other, everybody's angry with each other, and I'm just passing around all kinds of stories, promoting discord, promoting arguments and fighting. And the idea being is that as long as everybody and all the black population is arguing and fighting and animosity among themselves, I thank God. That way they leave me alone. And so that's why England has been all over the world promoting violence, bloodshed. The Vatican has been all over the world promoting lies, deception, revolutions, violence. All you have to do is go and read about Giuseppe Mazzini and Garibaldi. Mazzini and Garibaldi are two of the leading people who came up with the idea of the mafia, the Black Hand. England has always been involved in causing unrest, civil unrest, and overthrowing countries quietly behind the scenes, like the U.S. is doing today with the CIA and NSA. The U.S. goes in and causes governments to be overthrown, and they finance the whole thing so that the country falls. And when the country falls, the CIA can then put in their man, the guy they like. And so, this is an old story from years ago. This is the way it's been done in the mafia. This is the way it's been done in organized crime around the world. And this is the way it's done today in politics all over the earth. It's merely divide and conquer. Mm. Keep causing people to hate each other. Keep adding to the racism, sexism. I don't care what it is. You keep people fighting each other, because as long as they're fighting each other, nobody's going to be looking at what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's why England promotes all of these riots and revolutions and bloodshed and overthrow of governments, assassinations. It's usually America and England behind it, what we call the white establishment behind it for the peoples of color all over the world. And then America has to come in, England has to come in and put down the trouble that they've caused. And so they have to come in and straighten everything out. But nobody seems to realize, no, it was England and America that caused the revolution.
Yeah.
They paid for it, financed it, organized and directed it. And then when it got out of hand and there's blood in the streets, now America has to come in and set some kind of an order up, set some kind of rules and regulations, and you have to be big enough to follow through with that. Well, America is. It's big enough to follow through on anything it tells the world. So if there's a big riots going on, America can come in and tell everybody what they can do, what they can't do. And we are the greatest military power that's ever existed on the earth. So therefore, America can go in, England and America can go in with their military power. And what the people are supposedly happy that America came in and put down the revolution and stopped the bloodshed, never realizing, no, it was America that founded the whole problem. They're the ones that paid for it. And now you bought into the idea that America will come in and settle this terrible dispute, never knowing and never realizing it was America that started that to start with. I remember Al Capone many years ago, the famous mobster in Chicago. He said that he was starting a new operation, a new kind of organized crime, in which he would have people pay for protection. It was called insurance or assurance instead of insurance. But it was the idea that you pay for insurance for protection so that no one would harm your business or you. And so people who did not want to pay Al Capone for the insurance, usually their homes or their businesses would catch fire. Some of the family members would be killed. And then everybody realized, it finally dawns on everyone, that when Al Capone is collecting money to protect you, he's protecting you from him. Yeah. So if you don't pay the insurance, he'll see to it somebody's going to die or your business is going to burn.
That's basically
And
what
after a
America
while,
is doing.
everybody, no matter who they were, they all realized you better pay him because he's got so much money. He's paying off the governor. He's paying off the mayor. He pays off the police. So you're not going to hurt him. You're not going to get the cops to arrest him. Nobody's going to touch him. He's too wealthy and too smart and too vicious. So the government's going to let him do whatever he wants to do because they're not going to mess with him. And so that's where we are today. The bottom line is that might makes right. Whoever the strongest guy in the group, the most strongest family on the block decides what's going to happen in that block.
Jordan, what do you think is the biggest problem that humanity is facing right now? The one problem which, if we don't resolve soon, it could be like the end for all of us. Really, is there like one issue which you're really worried about?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem we face today, my God, I could sit here and tell you about at least 50 major problems, and each one is devastating to the whole human race. And we got so many, from drug abuse and alcoholism and all kinds of wars and violence, etc. But I think the biggest single problem we have on the earth, from which all other problems come from, is very simple: ignorance, education. People are ignorant, ill-informed, unread. They have no idea in the world how anything works. They have no idea about what banks are for, what police do, why you have a sheriff, why, nobody understands how the world works.
Right.
And so as long as you don't know how the world works, then you're going to be a victim. You're going to make bad choices. You're going to make wrong decisions because you don't know how it works. If you walk into a gambling casino in Vegas and you have no idea in the world, how much money you got plenty of money. but you have no idea in the world how the game is being played. And you sit down at the table not knowing the game at all. Well, I can guarantee you, you're going to be broke real quick. People will give you ideas. Oh, here, put this here and do this and that. And you do it and you lose money. Then somebody else tells you, no, here, do it this way. And then you lose money. Before you know it, at the end of the evening, you're broke. Why? Because you didn't know how this game is really played. And so that's the problem today with the world we live in. People do not know how the world works. They have no idea what words mean, where the ideas and concepts that we live by, where they come from. It's really tragic how ignorant the human race really is. And even people who we look up to and supposedly are intelligent are not. I mean, I've come across so many people in government, astronauts, scientists, physicists, nuclear physicists, people, and yet, you think about it. How many airline pilots have lost everything in the stock market? How many doctors and surgeons have lost everything in real estate and investments? Just because you are the best of the best in your line of work does not mean you know everything. So you can be a very wealthy, very successful doctor, but you don't know anything about real estate. So you better find out from somebody who does. And this is why I've been saying for years that no matter how smart you think you are, I will guarantee you, you do not know how the world really works. It's taken me 60 years just now to begin to fathom how deep this thing really goes. It goes all the way back to at least 10,000 years ago to the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, especially to the Hindus in India. And then you trace government, you trace the lineage of government and banking, religion, etc., and it keeps going back further and further and further. So that today, the more we change, the more we're the same. We're still believing the same things. The Hindus believed 5,000 years ago. And it's just amazing to me how much people do not know about the world they live in. And that's why we're all in trouble, because we don't understand words. I mean, we talk about having to go to court, but nobody's ever thought about the fact of why do you have to go to court? Because you play tennis on a court. You play basketball on a court. Well, how do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. And once you begin to understand the words and terms and what a basketball game is, then you understand when you go into a court, it's a basketball game. It's a game. And we say that there's a team of lawyers. And the whole idea of going to court is to put the ball back in the other guy's court, meaning your team stands up and makes charges, and then the other team at the other side of the court, they stand up and answer those charges, and then they charge you with things. Then you stand up and answer their charges, and then you can then charge them again. It goes back and forth, who's telling the truth, who isn't. And the judge is there. He doesn't care who wins or who loses. Judges couldn't care less. The way it works in America is that judges are paid money if they can get a conviction, if they can get a felony conviction. So if you go into court today in America and they can somehow or another, the judges or the lawyers or somebody, if they can make what you did or what they say you did, if they can make it into a felony, then the judges get a kickback. They get a large sum of money at the end of the year for every felony that they could preside over. And the arresting officer, whoever the detective or the arresting officer who caught the criminal, he gets a financial award also. So a lot of people in America do not know Judges and policemen get a monetary rewards at the end of the year for all the felonies that they can bring in.
Mhm.
And it has to do with the 14th Amendment. It has to do with insurance companies. It has to do with the Federal Reserve basing the printing of money on your body as a security on the stock exchange. A lot of people don't know that.
Mhm. Jordan,
Your
we're gonna. Jordan,
physical body in America is on the New York Stock Exchange.
Jordan, we're going to go to a break in a few minutes. I just want to ask you one more question.
Mhm.
What you're talking about, people being ignorant, I've also found that even in the awake community, the so-called awake community, there's a lot of deception and ignorance and infighting. What do you
Yep.
think about that? About what's going on with the awake community right now?
With the awakening?
With the people who say they're awake, spiritualists
Yeah,
and
yeah.
teachers.
Well, I think that's it's bound to happen. It has to happen eventually. There's going to be obviously people who awake to what I'm saying. People who are hearing me, and they probably themselves have often thought, why does this work the way it does, or why does this happen, or why does that happen? But nobody knows, so nobody is able to tell anybody anything, and so nothing ever gets done
Yeah.
until somebody like myself comes along and says, all right, just sit down and be quiet, and let me explain to you how your government really actually works, and how the money that you have, where it came from, who made the money, who published the money, and what is it based on? Why is it valuable? It's just a piece of paper. Why is that piece of paper valuable? I mean, people will kill for it, but it's just a piece of paper. And why is it valuable? Well, there's a lot of dark knowledge that people do not know about money, about politics, about government, and how the world really works. And so it's an extraordinary story about how money is based on your human body. And incidentally, money is also connected to water. And we say things like that.
Soul
We say,
energy.
yeah,
Jordan, we're going to commercial break now, so I want to
I
thank you
think
for
so.
coming.
I know I hear the music. So I would say go to my website, Jordan Maxwell Show, and there's a lot of information there. You can always contact me on my website, jordanmaxwellshow.com.
All right, I want to thank you for coming on the show, Jordan. I'm sure we'll have you back on soon.
Love
Thank
to.
you.
Thank you.
It was lovely having you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes after the break.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back to The Divine Truth on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Just to remind you that Revolution Radio is a listener-supported station. We do rely on your donations to keep us on air. The current total we've raised so far this month is $1,378, and our target is $2,800. You can donate on our website, freedomslips.com. Just go to the Support Us section where you can buy one of our seed packs starting at $60. All of our seed packs include GMO, non-hybrid, and heirloom seeds. They start from $60 up to $200. You can also donate monthly, anything from $10 up to $100, or make a single donation. And now we'll return you to the show. Is Sarah and Nyssa still there?
I'm still
Hi.
here.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Well, that was a great hour with Jordan Maxwell.
Yeah, it really was. He touched on Admiralty law just as he was about to go, and I urge our listeners to actually Google Admiralty law, and you'll realise that's kind of the law that we're all under. When a citizenship, the etymology, the words, is all to do with the sea. You
Yeah.
have a birth certificate,
Mhm.
like you birth the ship. If you go to court, you're in the docks. You're in the docks of the ship because it's the land of the dead. The Admiralty law is land of the dead. You're a corporation, your corpse. A person is your corporation within yourself. And your birth certificate is the one with the barcode on, and that's actually worth money. So if you get money back in any kind of system, any social security system, it's actually your own money that they're giving back to you. So you're paying for yourself twice. As opposed to Admiralty law, we actually have the law of the land, which no one knows
Yeah,
about, which
common
is
law, yeah.
yeah. And under the law of the land, the law of the living on the lands, we're not in a ghost ship. We're on the land here. A person, yourself, you have a living birth certificate, which is one without the barcode, which has the signature, and you can actually create promissory notes to get back your worth, to pay things off, and also you as a person under the law of the land, you cannot owe money to an institution. Only a person can owe money to another person, but you cannot owe money. And I know several people that have actually got out of paying when they've owed money to big corporations or even councils or things like that, have got away with it because under that law, you don't have to. So,
Yeah, I looked into the birth certificate scam a while ago. I even looked up my in the UK we have what's called a national insurance number, and you can look it up on there's a website where if you type it in, it tells you how much you're worth on the stock market. It's quite funny, really, but you can go back like every year from the year you were born, and they reissue like a bond or something every year from the year you're born, and then they total up that bond, and that's what you're worth, basically. And you can actually write. There's some websites online you can find if you do some research on birth certificate bonds, and you can find out like how you can. If you write to the Secretary of the Treasury in the UK, there's a letter you can download to let them know that you're aware of the scam and that you are basically taking back your rights and you are not going to be. It basically means you don't pay any tax, you don't any debts that you have to like even things like mortgages. Some people have actually got away with not having to pay their mortgage because the whole mortgage system is a scam as well. Most people don't know that.
what do you think to the word, Taj? Mortgage. It sounds like morgue. You know, when you get into the etymology of all this stuff, it's quite dreary.
It's because it's soul energy. You're giving your soul energy for physical items, for material items. That's it. And that soul energy is what they use. So what they use to create this reality. Scientists have just proven that light creates matter. And this is why I keep telling people your soul is literal cosmic light energy. And in the Bible, it's where it says they're after souls. Well, it's this, they're after your soul energy. They then take that and they use that light to then create the reality that they want, which is the one that we're living in.
Yeah, and also sound frequency and words, spelling is spells. We're conjuring up reality. It's like a mass illusion. We're deluded.
It's all hidden magic. That's what it is. You think about the whole thing of where Jordan Maxwell talks about words and hidden meanings in words. You know, the Vatican, the vat of Cain. Now, Cain, Nimrod, it's basically all the same. It's the DNA code, the DNA rod.
And you had, of course, Nimrod, who was, he did where he was building the Tower of Babel to heaven to get to God. Now think of it. No literal tower can get to heaven, because then you have space. So what was he building? Nimrod, his name is encoded. Nimrod literally had a specific DNA, and all the quote slaves that were building the tower, they were all given him energy so that his DNA would light up, so then he could go quote get to God it like that. DNA lights up when it's filled with light energy, with energy. So he was literally lighting up his DNA by using the energy of all of the quote slaves that were working on the tower. They were giving him their energy so he could light his DNA, because he had specific DNA that would allow him to
It's
do so. So
like
all
an
this stuff is
energy
encoded.
It's like an energy vampire type of thing, isn't it? Really, where he's feeding off of the energy of people.
Yeah. Yes, well, the Vatican, the vat of Cain. It's funny because they say at certain bases there's vats of blood. Well, it's a vat for collecting energy so that they can have enough to keep their DNA lit up to higher heights. Now, it's lit up on stolen energy. You're supposed to light your DNA up. You're supposed to do good deeds. You're supposed to eat a lot of charged stuff, charge yourself, and then you will light up your DNA and you'll be able to quote reach God or become multidimensional and walk among the realms. They are doing this on stolen DNA, but they still haven't got to the highest realm, but they have got to quite a few, and all that they're stealing all of this energy so that they can stay themselves above the population. And there's also what I call emotional monitors, where they have very high dark magicians that monitor people's energy. If somebody's starting to light up, they send specific people around them to attack them, to bring them back down, so that they constantly keep DNA from being lit up around the world.
I heard, I think you may have talked about this before, sir. There's like a grid around the world where people, if they can see your energy light up, it almost like triggers like an alarm kind of thing, and they know where everyone is, what energy level they're at, their aura, everything about them, so they can figure out, oh, that person's waking up. We need to, dumb him back down.
Don't they show that? Don't they show that in X-Men, in the movie X-Men, where they could see everybody who had mutated DNA? If you remember, where they would go into that room and they could see everybody around the world who had mutated DNA. Now, what I could tell you is when I got past the moon, and like I said, the moon is an entrapment for those who are not evolved. And at the same time, there are universal laws that apply to all of this stuff. If you evolve yourself, you can pass that and you're allowed out, in and out. If you don't, you're not allowed in and out. So they don't want people in and out. They're those that are here, that are living off of what I call stolen soul energy. They don't want people out. They want to keep this a prison planet, and they want to continuously feed off that energy and keep their statuses and keep where they're at, and continuously keep people as sheep that are energy batteries.
But how can they? Isn't there some kind of karma involved in that? You can't steal someone's energy and just get away with that, can you? Can you? How does that work? I mean,
there is, and there is. They knew that the sun would start to give out more energy, and that this whole system would start lighten up, like a lot of the ancients talk about. So this is why they're doing such measures as chemtrails to block out more, solar energy coming here, because solar energy charges the DNA. A whole thing, all this stuff with the SPF and all of that stuff is about blocking out light, about blocking down the cells. I don't know if I explained this in our last show. I may have explained it on my Facebook, of how the human body, the body is like a plant. A plant absorbs light energy. It's, what do you call it? Photosynthesizes light energy. Well, humans do the same thing, and their cells do the same thing. Now, what happens is that the cell is like a solar panel. It absorbs light energy and it charges the soul. The soul is made of light energy. People become sick when that soul energy is leached, when there's too much negative energy that gets into their aura. There's various reasons. So the cells are like solar panels. When you eat a live food or charged food, it absorbs the light energy from that. When you eat dead food, it doesn't. The thing is that what happens with heavy metals and why they're put into vaccines, why they're put into everything, and why also there's crystals in vaccines. This is a subject that I need to speak about, how they put liquid crystals in vaccines, because it messes up the whole system of the body. What happens is these things get into the cells, and what they do is they block the cell. The metals reflect the light back out that the cell should be charging with, that then charges the aura and chakra system. So it reflects that light out. So then you start to be, your soul and your chakra system, all that becomes, it needs to be recharged, or it starts to starve. Yes, you change into energy vampire. So it gets into each cell, these heavy metals, and it reflects light out. And it doesn't allow you to charge anymore. That makes people quite ill on a spiritual level. And this is what has happened to a lot of the world. The whole chemtrails, the aluminum, all the stuff they're spraying is all because of this. And the beauty products, all the heavy metals, the lead, all of this is the same thing. So what it does is it cuts people off from the divine connection. It also keeps them from having what I call a God source stream into them, God light energy stream into them. If their cells were healthy and clean, that would stream into them. There's a lot going on right now with this. There's literally a war on consciousness. On consciousness that is going up. There's a war on it, and that's why we have chemtrails and everything else, and this is why they're desperately trying to keep this in a prison planet.
Yeah, I mean, we're attacked basically on a daily level in every aspect, and the environment, our food, Wi-Fi, everything. You're being attacked. It's a wonder anyone manages to wake up or do any kind of work on themselves to wake themselves up, because you're being attacked on so many levels. And of course, the elite know how it all works.
We talk about transhumanism or robots, but a lot of the world is already walking robots. They don't even know it. They're cut off from this, what I call this higher consciousness, or God source energy. They're cut off from it because of all the heavy metals and stuff in their cells. They're then used, literally, they're like walking what do you call it, little satellites, or what do you want to call it, antennas. And then exactly. And then what they do is they go ahead and they put out signals, and they can control the masses through these signals, because it's picked up by them. Their body is basically like a little freaking satellite for all these signals, and they're controlled. So they're like walking robots anyhow. So when we talk about transhumanism, it's already happened, and people haven't realized that most of these people walking around are just like that. They're walking robots that are being used on every single level.
Yeah, I just want to say as well, the reason I feel that there's all these programs that show like cannibalism, and they show zombies in like a humorous kind of way, is also because when you see it, your subconscious mind is completely unbiased. It just absorbs everything like a sponge. And it just traumatizes the body. So your frequency then goes from, like, you can think of like there's two different frequencies. There's like your soul frequency, which is like really high and maintains like really high, and then you have your body has its own intelligence. It's like a computer in itself. But it has a completely different frequency. Its frequency is based on mortality. It knows it's going to die. It's got to eat. It's got, it has needs. Whereas the soul's completely different. When you're in your soul, you're not aware of time. When you're in your bliss, which is your soul frequency, you do something you love, you're going to forget to eat. You're going to forget that you're going to die. Your soul doesn't understand the concept of death, But because we're being given all this imagery and all this trauma, what happens is the body is designed to protect the soul so that we could be here on this plane as a soul, but we would be protected. So it was like it wasn't supposed to be a constant 24/7 thing. That our security, our DNA skin suit it was never supposed to be a 24/7 thing. It's supposed to be in case of emergency, our frequency, our body would take over, just in case of emergency. So it was supposed to be very brief, kind of like, oh, we've got a situation, the body would take over. And then it's over and done with. But what's happening is, because we're in this flight or flight, adrenaline, scary, traumatic 24/7, our soul is pushed to one side because that frequency isn't being engaged anymore, and the body's taking over. But the body is just constantly telling you, you got to eat, you're going to die, you know, all this kind of stuff, which is what the media is projecting on us all the time. It's like, you know, food, fast food, terrible kind of like one night stands and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's all very basic. It's not in the higher frequencies. So there's a separation, and so we're not aligned. And the goal really is to align the two frequencies, so that the body is actually, because the body is just supposed to be here so that we could be here, so we could exist here, because our souls would burn if they were here just on an energy level, because this is a very 3D. The planet is the same frequency as our bodies. Bodies go back into the earth when we die.
It allows
you know,
the soul to be here, yes, in 3D realm.
yeah.
Yes, let me address the whole zombie and why so many people are into vampires and to zombies and why there's so much on TV of that, The Walking Dead and stuff like that. It's a reflection of what's happening. It's a reflection of people eating each other's soul energy because they're starving and not replenishing their soul energy. And I do believe in the Bible when it says that in the days of Noah they ate each other. I do not believe it was literally. I believe everyone was eating each other's soul energy because they were starving of soul energy. This is what I believe. So that's a reflection of what's literally happening on a soul level in the world today. And whether people want to believe it or not, everything is a reflection of what's happening, whether it's fiction or whether it's not. Everything is telling us what's happening. This is just the people who are awake and can see this, sadly, and those who are asleep can't see it. So that's the whole zombie thing that's happening.
I found it interesting that Jordan Maxwell said our biggest issue is ignorance. I think I agree with that, because most people have no idea about any of this, really.
And then people come into the world with this soul energy, you know, and it's like going into Vegas and they don't know how to play that soul energy, and they don't know there's a lot of beings that are after their soul energy, because it's, you know, in many realms, soul energy is very wanted. It's useful for a lot of things, whether it's immortality for certain beings, whether it's using it to bend light and create matter and material worlds. It is the high over money, over gold, over everything. Soul energy has the highest price.
Yeah,
I agree with that. The whole transhumanism thing seems to be really being pushed right now. I mean, there's a lot of movies, you know, and a lot of TV series about transhumanism, about, you know, all this type of thing. What do you think about that? About, you know, cyborgs and life extension, and
so the point was to get people so much like that they would, when they had children, those children would be literally born without a soul connection, that they would be born like cyborgs with all of that already in their DNA cells. And this is something that you know, they're working a lot on. This is some of the projects that they're working on, is this children born that are basically cyborgs. They're the greatest soldiers. I mean, they don't have emotion because they're not connected to God's source. They live off of absorbing others' energy because they can't absorb their own energy because their cells are blocked. So they're energy vampires. So they'll be aggressive off into others because, again, what Nyssa was just saying, this is why they do a lot of horror movies and stuff like that. When a person is shocked or scared or something like that, they let out a burst of energy. That burst of energy can then be picked up. So by shocking people on different levels, even from tragedies that are set up around the world, they are able to gather a lot of soul energy. Just imagine in games when the losing team, all the people on the losing team side, you know, that really liked that losing team, how angry and upset and everything they get, they're all losing energy that's then being taken and absorbed.
I mean, even things like, I mean, a few weeks ago I watched the Super Bowl, and you imagine like the energy in there with all the people, you know, I don't know, tens of
Super
thousands
Bowl
of
of
people.
energy, huh?
And it's like, you know, all those people directing their energy at their football team or whatever must have some kind of effect, some kind of, you know,
So imagine politics. Imagine what politics. And this is it. They rile people up. Most of these people are never going to meet the president. They're never going to meet anybody around these politicians. But you know, instead of these people charging their souls and going about their everyday life, and I notice a lot of awakened people have fallen into it, they fell into the whole turmoil. And it's all about keeping you occupied so that they can
Yeah.
steal your soul energy and you don't have enough to live a life, because the more soul energy you have in life, the more you can manifest, the more you're in good health, the more that so much happens to you, the more you're connected to the divine. And they don't want you to be like that or live like that, so they continuously keep you occupied, whether it's with politics, whether it's with games, whether it's with tragedies. They keep you occupied and steal
Yeah.
that energy from you so that they can stay masters in the realms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when you have lots and lots of energy, what I've noticed is you get to the point where it's synchronicity after synchronicity. So you can basically, like you say, you can think of, you don't even realize you've thought of something and it will come to you because it's what you need. It's whatever you need will just flow to you, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like you are your own magician, and it bypasses all of their word magic and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big threat to them because it would just destroy everything. Imagine if everyone was living in their synchronicity, everyone would be here doing what they came here to do. It would be absolutely beautiful.
Mm. Yeah, but then nobody would go to work, and nobody would do the
Oh,
day to day.
they would because they
Oh, no,
they
no, no,
would
but
because
not in
they
the
come
same
here to
manner, in
work.
creative manners that would help
Yeah,
empower everybody else and
yes,
themselves.
yes,
Yes. It
yes.
would
There's
be the
plenty of
divine
work
matter much more
that
than a
needs doing.
materialistic matter.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. People have come here to teach, people come here to heal, people have come here to do all kinds of things. They'd actually the reason people don't want to go to work is because they don't want to be looking at the clock going,
It drains
oh,
their
I've got
life
3 hours
energy, and they
left.
know that on
Yeah,
some level.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
mm,
because it's work.
Yes.
The word work, it wouldn't be work. It would be, I'm going to get up and teach children how to, do something. Or I'm going to get up and I'm going to heal someone of cancer, or I'm going to get up and I'm going to paint a picture. There'll be no word of work. You
mm,
wouldn't say, oh, I've got to go to work. Oh, I've got to set my alarm. And, obviously we wouldn't be doing 9 to 5. We'd probably work
Like
more hours because we
like
forget about time.
Jordan Maxwell
yeah,
said, the whole system was created, to support the higher levels, not the lower levels. And it was created
Yeah.
to leach the lower levels of people of life energy, which would be giving to the higher levels so that they can go ahead and be more multidimensional and also, you know, um, continue to have their status. Trust me, if you took away the energy given to some celebrities, they would not be famous anymore. So they're famous only because of the level of energy that they're getting. The more energy that they get, the more famous they become. This is why certain ones in the media, take pictures naked or do stuff that is really drastic, because all of the anger, all the hate, that's still an energy burst that they're gathering for themselves and for those that they work for.
Yeah. And do you know what really worries me as well is the fact that when we dream, our energy is kind of kept so that all the programs, everything that our consciousness is
All
programmed
dreams are
with.
monitored.
Yeah, that as well. But
They have dream police,
you
yes.
can't get above a certain level unless you're actually astraling or lucid dreaming and you actually
And
push.
they're still
Yeah,
quote
yeah,
gatekeepers,
you have
yes.
to fight
The
your way up
Bohemian,
there.
talking about the whole Bohemian Grove, there's a whole bunch of gatekeepers there. I've ran into them a couple of times, and they're
Yeah,
definitely fierce. And yes, so
yeah.
like everything's monitored. Everything's monitored, but that should not keep you from trying to evolve and fight the system, because when
No,
enough
of
people
course
wake
not.
up together, they're not going to be able to do anything about it anymore. And everybody needs to stand together and do that. I really, really, really admire authentic people that really are trying to build themselves up. I think that that's just absolutely amazing, because those are the world changers. It's not going to be the people out there that are, in the media saying this and that. It's going to be those who are truly authentically building their soul energy up, because it's the energy that counts to the universe, not all the
Yeah.
words in the world. Because
Doesn't it
all the
say
words in
so?
the world are useless if you are
Yeah.
not living yourself.
Doesn't it say, Sarah, in the Bible somewhere? It says that at the end, the first will be last and the last will be first.
Exactly.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
Where was that in
Yes.
the Bible? Yeah, but that's exactly what you're saying. You know,
Mm.
the whole paradigm's going to shift drastically. It really is.
Those who are hidden, who are really authentic and building their soul energy up, those are the ones who will be winning definitely in the end, even if it's hard for them. And it's definitely very hard to do that. It definitely takes a lot of passion. It takes a lot of love, kindness, and care into yourself, to do that. It's and you get attacked and everything else like that. And it's not an easy task, but it's worth it in the end, honestly.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we touched on it at the end with Jordan Maxwell, where I mentioned the awake community. I think a lot of the people who are really genuine and trying to do good in the awake community are the ones who get attacked the most.
Yeah.
And
I've
it's
noticed this. I've noticed this, and but you know what? It proves that you're doing something. You're doing something so that you're rallying up the ones that are false out there, the ones that are a lot of talk, but they're not authentic. And they're gatekeepers, quote, in the weight community. And I know it's sad to say, but there are gatekeepers in
Yeah.
the weight community too. And I've noticed there's a lot of those who trigger others. So that's the thing. I think that you can listen to a person or listen to other person's theories, views, experiences to a point, but you really need to go into yourself. All the answers are within yourself.
Yeah.
They
It's
are
like
within you, building your soul energy within yourself.
Yeah, it's like Agent Smith in the Matrix when he morphs into other people. When someone's trying to leave the Matrix, he'll go into the body of like a tramp
Gatekeeper,
on the
yeah.
street. Yeah, that's. I was just trying to help the listeners visualize a gatekeeper. That's exactly what they are. They jump into other people energetically.
I can jump into other people to heal them. I can jump into other timelines. So they have the same abilities to do that, and
Yeah,
I know that they carry that out quite often. So if you are definitely building up your energy and you're getting attacked from all sides, don't be sad about that. Know that that's because you're doing something that they're scared about,
yeah.
and keep doing it. Just, do it even more. Just keep on that path because they're terrified if they're doing that to you. If you're getting gang stalking is this, by the way. If you're getting gang stalked, it's just because of that.
Right.
yeah.
What it,
It's interesting because a lot of people that I know that are doing like major work, they've lost their friends, they've lost their family, they've had to go from like being employed in a job they hate to then the gap of unemployment and then self-employment. They're going through horrendous trials, but they know because they're being genuine with themselves. They know they're doing the right thing. But it just confirms what you were saying.
yeah, what do you think is the biggest problem in the awake community right now? I mean, I know there's a lot of infighting and there's a lot of self promotion and all kinds of things like that, but I mean, if there was one thing you
I
could
I
pinpoint,
I would think that it's what I call inauthentic people, people who are just talk and they're not carrying anything out. They're not helping others. They're not healthy. And you have to be healthy and you have to build up your vibration. If you're not doing that, you can, like I said, you can be the talk in the world with the greatest words. It's absolutely useless. So I think that's it. I think that it's the inauthentic people that are creating a stir. And I really hope that they wake up and they understand that talk isn't what's important. It's the vibration that you carry, it's the frequency that you carry, and that eventually, hopefully, they can, wake up to that and they can change for the better. Because I hope that for everybody, even for people who hate me. I really, really want to see people do well. And I'm sure that the people who are inauthentic, I'm sure they're unhappy in life. I'm sure that there's so many things that are happening to them that are absolutely horrible, that they don't have any what I call divine support. I know I went through a lot the last year, this last previous year, but I could tell you through all of that, I had amazing support even from what I call God or God's source on every single level. And it must be terrible to live inauthentic, because it must be terrible to live where you don't have that support, where you don't have that feeling, where you're alone and lost in life and you're just full of words and you're not full of anything that is helping you out in life, you're not achieving your journey because you're being inauthentic to yourself and to others.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think people like that are quite dangerous because they look for their validation in other people. So they'll make up things, and they'll essentially they create cults. They could be quite
Well,
dangerous.
they create cults of energy vampires like themselves. They usually all stick together, and I've noticed this. And those who are void of energy are often looking to entrap others. And there's this little like web of them that often work together. So it's just really great to avoid those sort of things. And again, all the power lies within yourself. It always has. And your self empowerment is what's the most important. Being in a group where you think you have people on your side is not the most important in life. And I know people feel alone and they really want that, but the most important is the relationship that you have with yourself. If you can't be alone, if you're not comfortable alone, there's a problem. There's something you need to fix within yourself. And I do understand there's a lot of lonely people in the world, but I do understand there's a solution. And that solution is connected to what I call God's source and becoming awakened on every single level and building up your energy. Then you won't have this, you will never feel lonely ever again.
Yeah, that's so true.
yeah. I found in the awake communities, a lot of people are after recognition for what they're doing, and it's also becoming more money driven. People are charging ridiculous amounts for readings, and trying to once they've built up a reputation, then it sort of changes. People change. I don't like to say money changes people, but it does. To a certain extent, it's all.
I honestly think that you should do work just because it's the right thing to do. The other day I saw a post that said, you're because of religion, you should be compassionate or whatever. And I thought, that's absolutely ridiculous. Why is that? Why do you have to have religion to be compassionate? Everybody in the world should just be compassionate,
Yeah, yeah.
It should be a normal thing. It should be a normal thing to be kind to others, compassionate, and things like that. It's but it's taught like it's something that's it's not normal, and that's absolutely sad. I do think that helping others should be normal. Everybody should be doing it. I'd love to see everybody doing it. I'd love to see way far more posts on social media of people helping each other, than people fighting. That's absolutely amazing. I try to do, I don't post a lot of things that I do on social media. I babysit, I do all this stuff for free. I do as much as I can for free. For others, I think that's just normal, and I do it basically because of God, connected to God, and because that's just something normal to me. But I do believe in healings and stuff. I do a lot of healings for free. In fact, I'm overwhelmed this instant with that. I do think that when it comes to that if you're in this area, you should balance it. You should do a lot of work for free. And yes, you can ask for donations for certain work, but the major amount of work should be done for free. I know people need to survive, so they do need some money, but I think that the right thing is to do a good deal of
I
things for
bet that.
free. And I'm also looking at groups. Do these groups help the homeless? Do these groups help out each other, or are these groups infighting and saying hateful words to each other? And sadly, a couple of groups are not doing any. They're a lot of words, but they're not going out and helping the homeless. I think in England it would be lovely to see some of the groups out there just go and do some stuff to help the homeless, or carry out doing things for others. It would be very nice to see that.
Yeah, you don't see
Yeah.
that. You don't see that too much in the awake community where
I
people
know,
do.
and I'm really, really stoked to see some of the people out here doing it. I have a group here that I'm involved with, and they literally go under the bridge. They all sit with the homeless. They're amazing. They help out the homeless. It's just absolutely amazing. I'm really proud of some of my friends and all the work that they've done to help out others across the world, and I keep them very close to me because, that's I kind of feel that we're in the same frequency of helping others out, and I'd really like to see that spread more and more.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be really
yeah, I
good.
agree. Um, what else should we talk about? Do you want to talk about
Words, word meanings. I was going to try to say how the word religion, rely on the jinn being what you would
Yeah.
call, yes, demons, and stuff like that. And it was funny because the word television, when Jordan Maxwell said television, I thought, oh, tell a lie to the vision.
Yeah.
It's telling a lie to the vision. Yes.
Yeah,
And the
because the
eyes are
universe tell you the
souls.
truth on some level. It always has to tell you the truth on some level. If you can see it, you can see it. If you can't, you can't. But it has to be there.
Yeah, I found it interesting. He said
It's
that.
It's the hidden that's telling the truth. The frontal
Yeah,
is telling
exactly. That's
the
what I
lie.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it has to
interesting.
be there, but obviously it's hidden. Yeah.
It's interesting. He said that everything on television is a lie. It's that was an interesting. I mean, you talk about fake news, and stuff like that. All this fake news is going around at the moment. I mean, anybody can make up a story, and within, because of the internet, it spreads so quickly that it's taken as gospel almost these days. Once a story is out there, everybody just believes it. And that's also a big problem as well.
I agree with that. There was fake news spread about me. I know this on blogs and stuff. There's a lot of fake news spread about me, but I'm also aware that shows that I'm doing something right if I'm being so severely attacked. It's because, well, they know that I'm a threat to the system, so I expect to be attacked on a good level because of that. But it's so easy on the internet to spread lies and rumors and anything else. And it's used as a psyop for those who are really authentically trying to awaken humanity. It is used as a psyop to go against them. And I've noticed that just because of personal experience.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, it's basically the people who are helping the most are the ones who are attacked, and the only way, like for someone like yourself, the only way they can get at you is by making up fake stories because there's nothing really they could
That's
say.
it. But in the end, good always overcomes, and that's the thing. There will always be an end to evil, but I would say that goodness is eternal, and I try to remind people of that all the time. I'm very okay with being attacked. In fact, I think that shows that I'm offering something that they're scared about if I'm being attacked. If I wasn't being attacked, I would know that, I'm not a threat to the system.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who, in the awake community, they just take their word as gospel. They don't even question what they're saying. And I find that's very dangerous, really, that you go to someone and you just believe what they're saying, and then you go off and,
Again, that goes into people wanting to belong, and they feel more power in a group, and if they align to that group, again, I think a lot of it comes down to that they don't want to, I'm sorry, but people need to stop being lazy. You need to do your own research, and you need to have your own perspectives. And even with me, I do put a lot of things out there on different perspectives and stuff like that. I do not expect people to believe with every single post that I post. I like seeing people, give their views and stuff like that. I think it's very, very important. I very much admire that from people. I think it's sad that, people are programmed to be sheep to, if they're following somebody, they're just going to be a sheep to them. That's the wrong mindset. That's the wrong path. You need to go do things on your own.
Yeah, I think you should question everything. I mean,
Oh, yes.
I mean, I have pretty good instincts. I know, like, if I read something, if it's true or if it rings true to me, but it may not ring true to somebody else. But you should still question it. You should still question
Everybody's
everything.
path is different. Yes, everybody's path is different, and everybody needs to realize that.
Yeah, I find things like qigong and yoga and things like that. If people want to, because a lot of people aren't even aware of their own energy and their own bodies, things like that really help you to connect with yourself.
Yes, and it builds up your energy. Now think about, quote, sell your soul, the whole sell your soul for fame or whatever, thing is very, very interesting, because in the word soul you have it's spelled SOUL. Now if you take the U out, you've got SOL. Now in French, that's how they spell soul. They have that's the half spelling of soleil, which is sun. So it's saying that your soul is light energy and selling. It means if you have a lot of soul energy, then guess what? They're interested in buying that soul energy and giving you some sort of status for it. These people out here who think you can just make a deal and sell your soul. No, unless you have the soul charge, you can't sell your soul. I'm just letting you know that there's some, what do you call it? There's some levels of how this works. So people who have a lot of soul energy that can offer a lot to the world, they will be approached to, quote, sell their soul. Whereas people who drink all the time and do drugs and don't have any soul energy, and they don't even know that they don't have any soul energy really, they can't
Yeah.
sell their soul.
No.
Do you think there's a lot of like
Your worth in this world, your worth in this world is according to how much soul energy you have.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think
Yes.
like even in the awake community, there's a lot of dark, like black magic that's disguising itself as light, and people
Of
are
course
going?
there is.
You know,
That's been everything's been infiltrated. That's absolutely normal, but that's happened. Everything's been infiltrated. And you know, it's funny because in the Bible also to say that good will be that good will in the last days, the good will be shown as evil and evil as good, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Again, it's about you finding your path, building up your soul energy through different things, and you'll be okay. You'll get past all of those things. So in the end, we know that's happening, but I think we shouldn't focus on it too much because it's there. It's just like I was trying to explain to people, certain religious books are based off of absolutely divine teachings, and they will swallow those who do not choose to go deeper. So that means if you have a lot of soul energy, you can see the words change and everything changes so that you understand what it's saying. Those of lower energy are going to read it literally. I'm not kidding you. If you change your soul energy and you read the same book, you're going to see it differently, and it's going to have a different meaning, and it's going to show you a lot of hidden stuff in there.
Yeah. It's like your awareness is just bigger, it's more vast.
yeah, I think the problem is like with especially things like black magic and stuff. People find it exciting and experimenting with it and that type of thing, which is not a good idea at all.
Black
Really, I have
magic
to
is
say.
a very, very bad idea to meddle with. Do you know why black magic is called black magic? Because it uses dense energy, dense magic, dense energy. So that dense energy it collects on your aura, it collects on your soul energy, and it pulls you down. So black magic is a very bad thing to delve into.
Yeah, I think most people aren't even aware of it. I think in a lot of ways that they are delving into
No,
magic.
but it's sort of been pushed as fun or cool or something like that. That's
Yeah.
why I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
even things like Ouija boards and stuff like that, where people mess around with, stuff like that is dangerous. But people find it, fun, if you want to call it that, to call up spirits, which is again not a good idea. And they think it's, I don't know,
And certain spirits feed off of soul energy, so that's a bad idea to do.
I think if there's
And
one
then
thing,
once they feed off the soul energy enough, if you keep using them for power, then they can go ahead and get into you and then take you over, and you're not in control of yourself anymore. So it doesn't come without a price to meddle with darker things.
yeah, I think most people learn that too late, though. That's the problem. So it's better not to.
Well, again, it's like Jordan Maxwell said, they come into life, and it's exactly like a newbie walking into Vegas. They don't know how energy or any of these things work, and they get into trouble quite quickly and quite fast, and they lose their soul energy, and they become useless in a way to the higher ups. They become useless at when they don't have any soul energy barely left. They only have enough to stay alive. They'll then be turned into robots where they can be used on certain levels.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like where you sell your soul. You think, oh, I'm going to get fame, fortune, money, but there's a consequence to that, which
of course, once they sell their souls, they're never allowed to access any higher emotions. They're not allowed to connect in love. The heart chakra and all that's turned off, because to have your heart chakra lit up, by the way, you have to have a lot of soul energy to be able to love, create that connection. You have to have soul energy. Without that, you don't. And that's why a lot of celebrities in Hollywood are together, and you can tell there's not very many true soul connections. It's because they can't do it. They don't have the soul energy to do it.
Yeah, that's all very interesting. I was watching a video the other day. A guy, he was a musician, and he was like really down and out and homeless, and he was like busking.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy approached him, and he said, "I'm opening up a new club, a new bar, and I want you to come work for me." He said, "I think you're
Mm-hmm.
really good. I'll offer you, you know, fame, fortune, money, and everything, and you can have whatever you want." And the
Mm-hmm.
guy stood up to him, and he said, "No thanks," basically. And the guy who had approached him was, how would I put it? The only way I can put it is like a demon, I guess. Demon, or it's like he was trying to, trick him into selling his soul pretty much for fame and fortune. And
How interesting.
I think this happens quite a lot, really, where these
Yeah,
people
I'd
get
say that
approached.
people quote to sell your soul. Let's. I know it sounds like a very drastic term. People think, oh, you're going to summon the devil. So no, I'm not kidding you. People who eat really badly and who don't take care of themselves, they're selling their soul energy every day. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth right there. They're selling their soul energy every day. You know, I want to skip ahead to Pizzagate and talk about how pedophilia is used. What they're doing is the higher ups, they have no soul energy. So to create reality, they need soul energy. They're not making it because they're void of it. They're energy vampires. But to keep creating the reality they want to live in, they need soul energy. So the best way to get it is by abusing children. So they abuse children, they steal that soul energy, then they use it to create they use that light soul energy to create matter, to create this reality, and also to keep their statuses. Because again, fame, fortune, all that cannot be kept unless you have soul energy. That's why even though they sold their soul, they're getting stolen soul energy. Then they go from being their own soul energy sources to stealing others' soul energy. So Pizzagate and all of that and the whole pedophilia thing is just that. It's a huge part of that.
Is that all to do with, are these some kind of entities that are doing this because they can't manifest? They have to use us to manifest,
It's
for
definitely
them.
archonic in nature, yes, and it's definitely archonic. I've recently I'm doing some work and there's sort of what is this black veil around the world, and I was shown how those of us who are different, how, because when we came through to this part, we pierced that veil and we're supposed to open up more light streams, and the light streams have all the information in it. Think about when you're in a dark room, you can't see what's happening. We're supposed to bring in light to light up that dark room so that people in that dark room can see what's happening around them in that dark room. That's exactly why we're on earth, is to do that, is to open more light portals because of where we come from. Specifically, I know where I come from, so I know that I'm here on earth to open more streams of light so that it downloads it into the consciousness here, which is very well in the dark, and helps enlighten humanity. So I'm aware of this. That is what people do who build up their energy. What they're doing is they're building up their connection back to the other side where the light energy comes from. There is some sort of black sort of smoke dense energy around the world, and again, um, this goes back to my first video I did ages and ages ago on the Basis Project, speaking about this dense black liquid or
Yeah,
whatever that
yeah.
people have named it. Sadly, all of my work on that has been plagiarized. They're now selling quote, this is absolutely ridiculous, but apparently they're selling a concoction of something you can take that can get rid of this. This goes against the very laws of physics. My work has been plagiarized, so I can relate to what Jordan Maxwell said earlier about people's work being plagiarized. And this year I have recovered quite well and have great support, so I'm going to straighten all of this out, and hopefully I can do some of that when I go to New York this coming month. I will be showing an in-depth uh, uh, lecture on how this works. You
Right.
cannot just take some little pill and it's going to get out the dense, dark, black energy from you. That does not work. That's a good charlatan's way to make money, however, and apparently it's
Yeah.
happened. Yes, so I'm definitely going to get all this straightened out, and I'm going to speak to people of how they can remove the dense energy that often gets into them, and it's will be dense liquid black energy or black substance. I was reading on detox forums of how some people who detoxed had black liquid come out of them. It's the dense energy or the that has collected on them, the dense matter that makes you age, and that also makes you pulled into the lower realms and all things like that. So I will be explaining a lot more about those things.
We're gonna finish. We're gonna finish in a couple of minutes. I just want to ask. I just want to ask you, what do you see happening this year? Do you see good stuff happening, bad stuff happening? What is your outlook on this year?
Well, you know what? I always wish for the best, and I'm very blessed. I can see into many different timelines. My thing for this year is more that I want people to awaken and to build up their soul energy. This is my thing. This is where I'm going to press this year, because we can change timelines to much more positive ones. If we have enough people like candles lighting up around the world, it'll enlighten the whole world. This is the way that we can make a more positive world. That's my answer to your question right there. In a way, I know I'm not explaining it how you want probably, but this is it. We have the power over timelines. If we can light ourselves up more and more, we have the power. We can charge more lighter timelines, more less dense timelines to come into play. So there you go.
Right. So I guess we basically have to concentrate on more working on ourselves.
Choice. I mean, there's a lot of negativity going on, but there's still choice. And it might be hard to overcome, but you know, the greatest things, the best things, the ones that are worth the most are always take hard work in the end.
Yeah, the right choice is always the hardest choice. Always.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? The easy road is always people like to take the easy road because it's easy, but it doesn't necessarily get you to the right place.
Ah, yes, all great things come with a great amount of work and a great amount of time put into it.
Yeah, again, like you were saying before, you can't just take a magic pill.
Diamonds are made under pressure and long hours of cutting and everything else.
Yeah, like you were saying, you can't just take a magic pill, and it's not like the Matrix where you just take a magic pill and you wake up and you know everything.
That was just what do you call it? That was a that didn't mean about a literal pill. It wasn't a literal pill you could take. That meant that was a representation of truth and lies.
Okay, well that's the end of the show. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Nyssa. And please join us.
Sarah, thank you so much.
Please join us next week when we'll have Laura Eisenhower on the show. So that should be a great show.
Oh, nice! I'm looking forward to that. Bye, my darlings.
Okay. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Take care.